Shortly after Trump lost the election to Biden in 2020, or when Biden stole the election from Trump, depending on your perspective, the Heritage Foundation and other ultra-conservative right-wing think tanks began preparing for the 2024 election. They knew they had to do something different, and it had to be revolutionary. Something so revolutionary that, if what they were proposing got out, it would unite the American voters in favor of their opponents. So they vowed to keep the details concealed until just the right time. That time is now. Welcome to While You Were Sleeping, where we explore the shadow government agreements and plans that could radically change the country we live in. In the throes of probably the most complicated election year on record, with the choice of who leads this country between two dismal candidates, the Republican Party is not worried, for you see, they have a plan. This plan is so twisted, so complete and ready to implement, it doesn't matter which Republican candidate wins the election. It is plug and play. And every Republican nominee knows intimate details about it. Their plan is referred to as Project 2025. It is a step-by-step guide to Republican political domination, with rallying cries echoing the Axis powers in World War II. Their message: be like us, believe like us. We know what is best for you and this nation. Join us, or we will eliminate you. Project 2025's official title is Mandate for Leadership: The Conservative Promise 2025. It reads like a script for the Twilight Zone, with individual liberties dying on every page. And this plan will launch if a Republican wins in the 2024 election. On Inauguration Day, as soon as the words, "So help me God," fall into the crisp January air. And they do want Trump to win. His bigger-than-life personality, ability to unite an extreme-leaning conservative voting base, and his habit of saying whatever he wants, whenever he wants, make him their ideal candidate. He stirs up just the right amount of fervor and blind devotion that Project 2025 needs to succeed. This detailed plan is based on 4 pillars that speak to the dissolution of the existing government as we know it. Pillar 4 is by far the most disturbing of the 4 pillars in the near term. It is, in part, a playbook focused on forming agency teams and drafting transition plans for the first 180 days of the new administration, starting with the DOJ. Here's why. The first order of business for the new administration is to replace existing and experienced federal civil service workers, the ones conservative nationalists refer to as the deep state, with loyal, hand-picked conservative nationalists. Since they want to avoid the embarrassing situations Trump encountered previously, with some of his appointees failing to satisfactorily support his ideas, all newly appointed and retained, should there be any, federal civil service employees will be required to take an oath of loyalty to support and uphold the decisions of the President of the United States, even if those decisions run counter to law and policy. Not the Constitution, not the laws and regulations of this nation. The President's ideas and decisions. And no one in the executive branch will oppose him, unless they break their oath, which has consequences we'll explain later in the video. Trump describes his ideal presidential staff full of proud MAGA warriors, anti-GOP establishment zealots who are eager and willing to test the boundaries of executive power to get Trump's way. I'm no constitutional scholar, but I would bet this is not what the constitutional signatories had in mind. Now, for those of you who are typing comments that every new president replaces members of the executive branch, still your fingers. This is more than that. We aren't talking about policy tweaks, minor changes, or swapping out characters in the great democratic stage production we call our government. We are talking about the creation of a radical, far-right ideological reshaping of America's political landscape while dismantling and replacing the existing system entirely. don't think that could happen? Neither did the Germans in 1930. Project 2025 director Paul Dans said that the new administration is systematically preparing to march into office and bring a new army, aligned, trained, and essentially weaponized conservatives ready to do battle against the deep state. What makes this pillar the most insidious of the four is that term, weaponized conservatives. Sounds like a battle cry to war, not a transitional plan to aid in seamless continuation of government after the election. And there is an existing law in place that they plan to use to do it. More on that in a minute. Going back to the Axis powers mentioned before, Trump is using similar dehumanizing language to build public momentum for this new army's plan to demolish the deep state every time he's in front of an audience. He recently tweeted his commitment to root out various oppositional groups. He referred to them as vermin within the confines of this country. Remember the law I mentioned? That existing law is none other than the Insurrection Act. It probably deserves a video on its own, but how it applies to Project 2025 is this. Project 2025 creators interpret this act in such a way that allows Trump to investigate and arrest people he believes wronged him, both politically and personally, and awards him the mechanism to undermine political opponents through trivial and fabricated charges. Trump agrees.
If I happen to be president and I see somebody who's doing well and beating me very badly, I say, go down and indict them.
And according to the 1827 Supreme Court decision in Martin versus Mott, Trump would have that authority. When asked twice by Sean Hannity if Trump could assure the voters that he wouldn't abuse presidential powers to seek retribution for others, as he has reportedly privately told friends and family he would, his response?
Except for day one.
At this point, Trump will have pulled off what many have suspected he's really been going for all along. He will have assumed the mantle of dictator and taken his place among those global leaders he aligns with. Remember, this is all within the first 180 days of a 4-year term. There is so much more to unpack in Project 2025 on changes to laws on abortion, citizenship, freedom of religion, climate policy, the economy, LGBTQIA+ rights, and immigration, just to name a few. They did a thorough job building the architecture for this overhaul. Intrigued? Horrified? Confused? We all are. Is this who we are now? How long do you think it'll be before they come after you, or something you believe in? If you listen carefully, the bootsteps are getting closer, and the middle of the night knock on your door is coming. Thanks again for watching. Remember to press the like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Until next time, be safe, be nice to each other, and don't fall asleep.